The most disturbing cults in history, Part 1. These are the Anthill Kids, founded by this man, Roch Theriot, in Quebec, Canada. These events took place throughout the 70s and 80s. Using his excellent charismatic skills, he actually convinced a group of people to quit their jobs and follow him, promising unity and equality. He forbid them contact with their family and moved them out to the mountains. He called it Eternal Mountain. In 1978, he prepared for doomsday, having his followers build a town that could save them. He relaxed while they worked and compared them to ants on an anthill. To gain more followers and keep them devoted, he impregnated all female members. They were also forced to wear the same outfit, promoting equality.
Creepy urban legends from each country, Part 4.
Mexico. La Lorena. La Lorena is the ghost of a woman who drowned her own children in a river, only to be condemned in the afterlife to search for their bodies. As the story goes, great misfortune comes to those who go near her or hear her frightening cries.
Here's the stupidest things bought by billionaires. Saudi Prince Walid purchased a Mercedes completely made out of diamonds. It reportedly costs $48 million and rumors have said that he charges people $1,000 to just touch it. Mukesh Ambani decided he wanted a personal skyscraper, so spent $2 billion constructing one. He has hired more than 600 people just to take care of the building's upkeep. Sheikh Hamad wanted to make sure everyone knew this was his private island. That's why he decided to etch his name so large that it could be seen from space.
Crazy things happening in the world right now. The heat in Washington, D.C. this summer melted off the head of a wax replica of Abraham Lincoln. State of Vermont paid this man $175,000 after arresting him for flipping off the state trooper. Ron DeSantis signed a bill making it legal to end the lives of crack bears in self-defense. DeSantis also signed a bill in Florida that makes it illegal to intentionally release balloons. NASA ran an experiment that even if we had 14 years in advance to stop an asteroid, we wouldn't be able to do it. A man wrongly identified his wife in an autopsy, had her cremated, and then found out that she was alive. A naked bike ride was organized in San Antonio and no one showed up. Justin Timberlake and Tiger Woods are opening a sports bar together. A French cyclist was fined after stopping to kiss his wife. A woman is suing the company that she's worked for 20 years for having no work. It was recently found that Americans are taking less vacation than every other country.
This is how healthy your eyes actually are. I'm about to test you to tell you how healthy your eyes actually are. All you have to do is pick one out of the 10 colors that
Which animal is most likely to have you knocking on heaven's door depends on your state. And this is part 2, by the way, because I missed a lot of states. Florida, you've got mosquitoes who want to send you straight to God. In Illinois, zombie coyotes are not going to let you finish your bucket list. In Wisconsin, you've got deer, and I also made up a little rhyme for you guys. You'll always remember to stay the feck away from deer. If you see a deer, grab a beer because your end is almost near. Missouri, you've got the slithery serpents from hell, venomous snakes. Vermont? Not a fucking clue. And I looked it up, even the CDC don't know what y'all chilling with over there. Next up, South Carolina. Apparently this is Satan's country home because all it says for this state is large mammals. Apparently you all got elk, coyotes, badgers, deer, porcupines, and bison all ready to test your life insurance. New York, you're up next. And man's best friend, now man's fatal foe, isn't just a cool title for a movie. Finally, Tennessee, you've got brown recluse spiders. Apparently one bite from these isn't necessarily fatal. Multiple bites will send you straight to the gulag, so Tennessee, chill! If I missed your state in this one or the last, let me know. Send this to anyone you know in any of these states so that they know to stay safe. All with me now. Elon!
Have you ever thought about why mobile gaming sucks? First, most games are free, but you have to watch an ad every 5 seconds of playing the game, which completely ruins it. Second, most free games require in-app purchases to actually get anything done within the game. And third, they all require you to be on Wi-Fi or your cellular data, so you can't even play them everywhere. That's why I want to introduce Aquarium Crush. This game is 100% free with no ads or in-app purchases, and you can play without Wi-Fi or cellular data. I really don't know how they do it, but the goal of the game is to get your fish as big as you possibly can without getting eaten. And trust me, it's not as easy as it looks. These puzzles are unlike any I've seen in other games and is genuinely the perfect way to kill some time. So if you want a game that gives you everything it promises, go to my page and download it right here.
That radiation.
amazing things you have never seen before. This man was walking in his yard and the ground started moving. This isn't fried chicken, it's actually a crystal. This is what the top of Mount Everest looks like. It was so cold that this person's food froze midair. This is what a cat's tongue looks like under a microscope. It looks like a bunch of smaller tongues. And I bet you've never seen a brick road machine. I always thought people did it.
These are things that over time got too expensive. Number one is fast food. I remember when a McChicken was just $1. Number two, streaming services. A, there's too many, and B, they're getting too pricey. Airbnb, it's probably cheaper these days to get a hotel room. Number four, snacks. An entire bag of chips is like $6. Number five, concerts. It's actually insane how much ticket prices have gone up. Number six, fixing things. Like if your toaster breaks, it's probably cheaper to buy a new one. Number seven, haircuts. I know mine don't look good, but this was $50. Number 8, coffee. It is not uncommon to spend $80 a week. Number 9, theme parks or fairs. You're gonna spend $200. Number 10, restaurants. Aside from tipping 20%, this is still a lot more than it used to be. Number 11, buying a new car. Back in the day, it was way different. Number 12, going to the movies. Tickets ain't bad, but a soda and popcorn, $15. Number 14, going to any professional sports game. Might as well stay home. And lastly, box cereal. It might sound absurd, but $8 for Cocoa Puffs is crazy.
Facts that will mess with your perception of time. Mean Girls is more of a classic movie today than The Breakfast Club was when Mean Girls was originally released. Rebecca Black has doubled in age since Friday was released in 2011. This is what AI video looked like just 1 year ago. And this is what AI video looks like now. Clint Eastwood's parents would not have been able to celebrate the birth of their son with a can of beer. That's because Clint Eastwood was born in 1930 and canned beer wasn't even a thing until 1935. This is Nancy Pelosi attending JFK's inauguration in 1961 as a 20-year-old. We know of bowhead whales that have lived for more than 200 years, so any bowheads that managed to live through the golden age of American whaling in the 19th century could still be swimming in the ocean today. When novels became popular in the 1700s, the media thought that young people were reading too much. They were calling it the reading rage, the reading fever, and the reading mania. The oldest currently working train engine in the world was built when slavery was still legal in the United States.
Here's how to actually lucid dream. Lucid dreaming is when you become aware that you're in a dream, and this means you can now control everything. It's very fun. So here's the technique called MILD. It stands for Mnemonic Induction to Lucid Dreaming. It's the method that works for me. As you are falling asleep, repeat the phrase in your head, I will control my dream. I will control my dream. I will control my dream. By repeating this mantra, you're encouraging your brain to be aware when you begin dreaming, and therefore, you should lucid dream.
These are some truly unsettling facts, and I found all these on Reddit. Number 1, the world's loneliest whale. There's a whale that resides deep in the ocean that has been singing a song for years, but no other whales can understand it. The reason is because this whale's voice is so deep that it's too low for any other whale to hear. And he's been calling out trying to find a mate or a family member for years now, but nobody can hear him or find him. So he's been swimming deep in the ocean by himself for so long. And it's because of this that scientists have called him the world's loneliest whale. Number 2, Abraham Lincoln. Now, we all know Abraham Lincoln. He was like our 15th or 16th president or something like that, had a crazy beard, and he was assassinated. But this is a very unsettling fact about him. The 3 days leading up to the fateful night where Abraham Lincoln would be assassinated, Lincoln had had nightmares detailing his assassination. And we know this because his bodyguard, who was named Crook, actually detailed this entire thing. Lincoln had told Crook about all these nightmares, and Crook begged him not to go to the theater. And all that Lincoln said in return was, "Goodbye, Crook." And he left. And the reason why this was weird was because Crook said every single time that Abe had left, he would always say good night, not goodbye. But he could tell that Abe knew this would be the last time they saw each other. And finally, emergency broadcast. Now, we all know what an emergency broadcast is, but in the event of the world ending, CNN has a pre-recorded emergency broadcast from the 1990s that would kind of be like a farewell to everyone. They have this ready to play just in case that fateful day comes. And that to me is truly horrifying, which is why it's perfect for today's video.
Urban legends from around the world. La Ciguapa, located in the Dominican Republic. Here's the story. Said to be a hypnotic mythical creature in the form of a woman. Said to have long hair that covers her whole body, and the most interesting part is that she has backwards feet. Said to dwell in forests and the Highland Mountains. She lures unsuspecting men in, and they are never seen again. The first claim of this creature actually dates back all the way to 1866. Which country is next?
Facts about money that will blow your mind. You are more likely to die in a car accident on your way to buy a lottery ticket than you are winning the lottery. LeBron James will make about 3 times more money with his NBA salary than all 151 WNBA players combined. The mascot for the Denver Nuggets basketball team will also make about 3 times more money than the highest paid WNBA player. George Clooney once gave 14 of his closest friends $1 million as a surprise gift with one condition. They all had to take it or none of them got it. If you started with 1 penny and doubled your money every single day, it would take you less than 28 days to become a millionaire. A lawyer made a deal with a 90-year-old woman that said if he paid her rent every single month, he would keep the apartment after she died. He died 1 year before she did, over 30 years later. The lawyer ended up paying $180,000 for an apartment that he never lived in. Follow for more.
The most terrifying prisoners of all time. Known as one of Australia's most dangerous and violent female prisoners, this is Rebecca Butterfield. She was initially sent to Silverwater Prison for stabbing her neighbor, and that is where things got worse. Way worse. She has cut her own throat, bashed her head against a wall 105 times, and stabbed her friend, who was also a fellow inmate, 33 times with a carving knife. The prison murder landed her another 12 years, and another 5 was added on as she was deemed too dangerous for society. During one violent episode, she said, "If I get out, I will kill again." Butterfield has attacked prison nurses and doctors, throwing boiling tea and water on guards and other inmates, and even lunged towards guards, saying she was trying to take their guns. As of January 2021, she is to remain behind bars until 2023.
This is the how long you'd survive in the wild vision test. Oh, and spoiler alert, we haven't got a chance. Okay, here's the first one. I'm gonna say this one's pretty easy. And let me just say, every single animal that are in all of these photos could easily subtract you from the equation that is life if they wanted to, and then proceed to sleep like a baby afterwards. Okay, next up, I'd say this one's pretty average. This one did drive me fucking insane, and we're only on the second one, so good luck. Don't worry if you can't see it, because I can assure you, it sees you. The worst part is once you see it and know exactly what animal it is, then you can pretty much guarantee that there are more around. Since I couldn't see this one, I would not survive in the wild, I'd get clapped. Okay, next up, I'm gonna put this one in the hard category. I mean, I'll give you a clue. Since we're looking at the ground, you probably know we're looking for something small, but still not small enough that it couldn't send you to the next round before you have a chance to say, oh, there it is. Okay, this one's difficult, and I am sorry for this one. And if you don't want to be put on the front of a newspaper, you really need to find it. However, finding it will not make it any better, because you'll realize it's looking directly into your soul. Because these animals typically like to stare at what they want to take for themselves. And finally, we have insane, and this is just cruel. And I'm not trolling for views, it's there. Now send this video to a friend to see how many they could see. Eli!
It touches countries in every continent. North America, United States. Europe, Liechtenstein. Asia, Qatar. Oceania, Australia. South America, Chile. Africa, Nigeria.
If you just watched Into the Fire, The Lost Daughter, you need to watch this documentary next. It's very similar. In 1987, 15-year-old Jennifer Pandos went missing from her own bedroom. Since parents is going to relentlessly attempt to get this case closed. This documentary is really good, and if you liked Into the Fire, you're going to love this one. Let me know what you think about this in the comments.
Urban legends from every state. The legend of Charlie No Face. Located in various parts of Pennsylvania. Here's the story. Also known as the Green Man, Charlie No Face was a real person. His name is Raymond Robinson, and he has quite a tragic tale. The legend was told as a man with no face would stalk people at night. The real story is when he was 8 years old, he was climbing up an electrical pole and got shocked, surviving but terribly burning his face and arms. He actually walked at night to avoid being ridiculed or scaring people. People were assholes. And as far as people calling him the Green Man, some say that it was just his clothes reflecting the lights off the cars. People who knew him said he was a hell of a nice guy, just a man forced into isolation by society.
This Las Vegas man allegedly beat a customer severely for breaking the nacho cheese machine, because people will fight over anything these days. To top this all off, this dude works at the gas station too. His name is Myron Bully. He will now be charged for attempted murder. This happened early in the morning on September 3rd, about 2 weeks ago. The victim was bleeding from all over his face, and the police had to transport him to a hospital to get treated for skull fractures. He also had multiple brain bleeds on top of that. So he definitely got beat pretty severely here. There was a witness here who was pumping gas and asked Myron, because Myron is an attendant, if he was going to call 911 for the victim. He responded by saying, "I'm not going to call 911 from him. I hope he learned his lesson." The victim got nachos, and apparently Myron thought he was putting too much cheese on it, and then the machine malfunctioned, then he kicked him out of the store. The guy tried to come back for his nachos, and Myron greeted him with a baseball bat. He was swinging at the victim pretty hard. Witnesses said he couldn't get up for several minutes. Myron said if I hit him hard, his brains would have been smashed. So Myron has absolutely no remorse for this. His bail is set at $10,000. I'm not sure what kind of sentence he's going to get. My guess is like 10 to 15 years. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below.
Seriously, if you don't know what's going on over in America right now, you need to watch this video. So the other day, of course, there was the presidential debate, and of course there was one major point that everybody's talking about now. Social media going crazy with already this sound being made, and hundreds, thousands of people making videos. I mean, it's been like 2 days and there's already 26,500 videos.
Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats.
This all came from this one video that this guy just remixed it and people have gone nuts. Meanwhile though, in Ohio, this happened yesterday. Like, what the hell? The cops found this 27-year-old woman with blood and fur around her mouth, leaning and kneeling over a deceased cat, which she reportedly had eaten. Seriously, what's going on? What is going on? Make sure that follow button and I'll keep you updated.
I'm going to be talking about some of the evidence that proves that Rebecca was most likely murdered. When Adam called police, he referred to Rebecca as the girl he found hung. He knew Rebecca. He could have said my brother's girlfriend. I don't know, a lot of people thought that was really weird. The way that Rebecca's legs and hands were tied together was very difficult to do on her own. The knots used were very similar to those used mainly in boating, which was something that Adam did for a living. There was also this very creepy message found on Rebecca's door, and it said, "She saved him, can you save her?" And this was interpreted differently by everyone. A neighbor came forward and told investigators that she heard screams and a woman yell for help the night before Rebecca was found hung. But investigators told her that those screams did not come from the mansion. Adam was a person of interest, and he took a lie detector test, which he did not pass nor fail. Many people also believe that Dina might have had something to do with Rebecca's murder because of her son passing away when Rebecca was supposed to be looking after him. A second autopsy was demanded by Rebecca's family, and they found that Rebecca's neck injuries is not exclusive to just hanging, but also strangulation. The autopsy also showed that Rebecca had fractures to her left arm, multiple bruises, and abrasions. The family attorney also said that it's very unlikely for a woman to commit suicide naked. As you can see here, there was a boot print on the balcony, but investigators said that it was just from a police officer investigating the scene. But after forensic analysis, they concluded that it did not match the police officer's boot. So whose print was that? Now get this, when investigators confiscated Adam's phone, they found Google searches that said bondage anime and sexy Asian girls. If you're into that stuff, cool, good for you. I'm not judging, but the timing just seems very convenient. Investigators confirmed that this was a suicide and closed the case. But in 2018, Rebecca's family filed a civil lawsuit against Adam and won more than $5 million in damages. but he was never really held accountable for her murder and he never faced criminal charges. Rebecca's family has consistently fought for justice, but it's been really difficult. This case has so much evidence and there's so much detail to it, but what do you guys think happened to Rebecca?
These two best friends killed an abusive husband together. Marianne and Wanda were the best of friends, like, all through their high school days. They were both members of the 4-H club, both active in the FFA, and after graduation, Marianne went out and she was looking for a bright new world, and Wanda looked all around her hometown and all she found was Earl. And y'all, it wasn't 2 weeks after she got married that Wanda started getting abused. She started wearing dark sunglasses, long sleeve blouses, makeup to cover her bruises. But she finally got the nerve to file for divorce and she let the law take it from there. But Earl walked right through that restraining order and put her in intensive care. And right away, Marianne flew in from Atlanta on a red-eye midnight flight and she held Wanda's hand and they worked out a plan, and it didn't take them long to decide that Earl had to die. And y'all, they killed Earl together. They were mocking him and laughing at him as he was dying. They were saying things like, "What? What's wrong with those black-eyed peas? They tasted all right to me. Oh, what's the matter? You feeling weak? Why don't you lay down and sleep, Earl? Oh, ain't it dark, all wrapped up in that tarp?" It was sadistic, it was twisted, and they took a lot of pleasure in bringing an end to Earl. And now the cops came by to bring Earl in, and they searched their house high and low. They tipped their hats and they said, "Thank you, ladies. If you hear from him, let us know, okay?" But the weeks went by, spring turned to summer, summer turned into fall, and turns out Earl was a missing person that nobody missed at all. So the girls bought some land and a roadside stand out there on Highway 109, and they sell Tennessee ham, strawberry jam, and they don't lose any sleep at night because Earl had to die. Matter of fact, they held onto his body for a while and they stuffed him in the trunk. They actually took his body to the lake. They had a picnic lunch. I mean, what they did to this guy was absolutely outrageous, but truth is, Earl had to die. Y'all, I hope you enjoyed the story today. My name is Jordan Rayner. I'm a recording artist trying to get a record deal. Hit follow, help me get to 1 million. And also, I've got a brand new EP called Revolver that just dropped on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes. It's freaking amazing. Please go give it a spin. Cheers. Goodbye.
Anyways, I know hearing these cannot be easy, but that's why.
This is one of the worst pedophiles in world history, and today he's a free man. Meet Christopher Paul Neal, or Mr. Swirl. Christopher was born in Canada, and early on in his life he actually tried to become a priest, but he was denied due to a lack of qualifications. So instead of becoming a priest, Christopher chose to become another P professional, a pedophile. In the early 2000s, international investigators noticed that a number of CP or CSAM photos and videos were being released featuring this swirly face. In the videos, this man was seen violently abusing children. These videos were so violent and disturbing, featuring Mr. Swirl, that authorities' stomachs were turned. It was, according to investigators, some of the most disturbing stuff they had ever seen. Christopher, aka Mr. Swirl, was bold, and he uploaded over 200 images and videos and shared them across the internet. Videos once again depicting him abusing, if you know what I'm saying, children. But eventually, the authorities were able to unswirl his image. They found this image, they posted it online, and eventually he was identified. After being identified, Christopher fled to Thailand, but he was arrested there. Now, eventually, even though Christopher had been identified as one of the worst pedophiles on planet Earth, he was given only 5 years in a Thai jail. He was then released and sent back to Canada, where he was arrested upon coming home. However, after spending a couple days in jail in Canada, he was released. But less than a year later, he was rearrested in Canada after investigators checked in on him and found CP and CSAM on his phone and computer. So it's clear this guy couldn't be stopped. But what sentence did they give this hardcore pedophile who was found with CP and CSAM on his devices? Well, they sentenced him to 3 months. 3 months in prison with probation. After some lengthy court proceedings, he was eventually sentenced to 5 years in Canadian prison, but then for some reason they shortened that to only 15 months. And in March of 2017, Christopher was released back to the public, where he has been ever since. This is a man who victimized at least a dozen young boys on camera. A man who was completely unrepentant for what he had done. A man who was already convicted of crimes like this and then re-downloaded the same materials to his computers. And he only got a couple of years in prison for all of this, and like I said, he is a free man. So if you are in Canada, if you have relatives that live in Canada, tell them to watch out for this guy, because this is true. He is out there right now. It's shocking to me every time I do stories about this stuff. I do not understand why these pedophiles do not get more of a lengthy prison sentence. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. You can get a much higher sentence for a drug-related offense versus what this guy did, which I think is just the scummiest, worst type of crime you can possibly commit.